Hey guys, hope everyone's doing well. I'm going to be doing an IEM shootout of 5 IEMs. These are the Monarch Mark IIs. These are the variations. This is the ThieAudio Yume. This is a ER4SR, and here's a U12T. So let's start off from this side to here, because we're going to start off from what I feel is like okay to the best in terms of resolution and whatnot, and I'm going to explain it and what might work for you. So this is a ThieAudio Monarch Mark IIs. They're really good from the bass to the mid-range, but then where the resolution doesn't work out is treble for me. So the bass has a good enough punch, good definition, nothing crazy, not exaggerated. It sounds about right, nothing special. The mid-range is really good and full. But I feel like the mid-range is probably one of the best you could find, like just in terms of how the vocals sound. But where the problem with me is the treble is a little rolled off. So a song that has treble, it won't come across as clear on these. It sounds a little soft, or like a soft note where it doesn't come across fully. So I feel like it is rolled off a little bit, the treble, and it lacks that sparkly effect. And I feel like if this IEM did have it, that sparkle, that extra air, it would be better than probably any IEM I tried. But because of that, the vocals aren't as good because of that. So yeah, a really good set. It works with all genres. Yeah, so that's this. I would say in terms of resolution, this is probably, I would say the variation is slightly more resolving already than the Monarch MKll because the variations has more treble detail, so you could pick up the treble detail. The bass is elevated on the variation. It is bouncy and unique sounding, so that's really good. Yeah, so in terms of resolution, this doesn't go all the way into that specialist because it's a little toned down for some reason. So that's the only main thing it's lacking. And another thing that's not good about the Monarch Mark IIs is it's huge. You can't really wear it for more than an hour without pain. That's one thing to keep in mind. Yeah, compared to all of these, this has the biggest housing and the worst fit. So yeah, that's that. Now let's go on to the variations and compare them. So if you guys are wondering, I'm just going to say the Monarch Mark IIs has less treble than, I would say, probably every IEM on the table. Other than maybe the Yume, which is a little relaxed, but the Monarch Mark IIs seem a little overly relaxed or laid back sometimes. And then, yeah, I'm not even going to compare the U12T to the Monarch MK2s because that's not even close. Like, that's different leagues, and people are trying to compare that, but that's not the case. So, yeah, onto the variations. Really, really good. This is probably the fourth best IEM, third or fourth best maybe, depending on how you look at it. So yeah, the bass is a little elevated, a little more than I would like. Has a slightly thin mid-range, but other than that, the resolution is spot on. Mid-range, you get all the detail. It's not recessed at all. Treble, you get every single detail. Yeah, so only thing about the variations, I wish the bass was a little less. But if you like more bass, if you like, this has the most bass out of all of these IEMs, the most sub-bass rumble and bounciness. Yeah, so really, really good. I would say this is the best IEM you can get for about $500. There's nothing better, so it's not even worth looking into that. So yeah, just go for this. It does it all. Like, this will work with all genres, even more demanding genres like classical and complex stuff. It plays back really, really well. So yeah, that's that. Really good set. In terms of resolution, it's, I'm not going to compare any to the U12T yet. I'm just going to save that for the last because I'm going to explain why. That's better than everything. But yeah, in terms of resolution, this is probably definitely, I would say, the second best on the table. So yeah, I'm going to talk about these two now so it makes more sense. So the ER4SR, when I'm listening to the ER4SR compared to some of these other IEMs, you do pick up a lot of the same detail. It just sounds flat. And the ER4SR is just lacking slightly in the bass section when a song has a lot of bass. And it doesn't sound reference quite. It's just lacking a few decibels maybe to be it perfectly neutral. So yeah, I would say this has a really insane resolution. Definitely up there with the Monarch, the variations of Monarch and the ThieAudio. So this is really, really good. If you want something that's cheaper than these two pairs, but don't want to miss out on the resolution, you get the ER4SR. It just has the perfect amount of clarity. It doesn't do anything wrong. It just sounds like the source that played it back. I do want to try out the ER2SE because I heard good things about those. But yeah, so this does everything right. If you get a good fit, you'll get the perfect sound. Yeah, so this is basically, I had to always list this because in terms of resolution, it does better than the Monarch Mark IIs in my opinion because it has the right amount of treble and it just sounds more proper. So where the Mark II falls short of the other ones is like the treble. The treble air and the reference sound in the treble is not there, like the sparkle you'd hear in some of these other sets. So yeah, really, really good. If you want the most audiophile type sound for the price, go for the ER4SR. It's hard to beat. And yeah, so I'm going to now talk about the ThieAudio Yume. I use the Yume more than probably the variations and the Monarch Mark IIs because it just has a more neutral sound profile and the tonality is spot on. It just sounds real, like realistic, like real life sounds. Where the mid-range, the slight thinness gets in the way. Not really, but a little bit. Where with this, there's no frequencies missing. In terms of detail, I think the variation in the Monarch has slightly more detail than the ThieAudio Yume, but overall, it's not that. I don't think these IEMs sound like triple as good, maybe double, because this is so masterfully tuned, it's only lacking the technical ability. So, for example, let's say you're listening to a guitar or a high-pitched instrument. The Monarch is going to smoothen it out. The variation is going to come across just like it should. No smoothing or masking. The ER4SR, no smoothing, come across like the original source. The Yume has a little bit of fun to it, so just a dash. Maybe, but not really. Like, it still sounds really neutral compared to even these two. So, yeah, it's really, really good. Again, for the price, you can't go wrong. And if you want something under 100 that sounds really, really good, get the ER2 SE. So, yeah, that should be good. So now I'm going to compare the U12Ts to the rest of these and what the differences are. And where the U12T just wipes all of this is when there's a lot of reverb in the instruments. Like the flute reverb, guitar, piano, the air. It just wipes everything out. Like nothing comes close. Yeah, resolution, layering, imaging. It just sounds more reference on the U12T. Even the highs come across smoother, but they don't have any missing frequencies like the Monarch Mark IIs in the upper treble where there's a slight dip. But with the U12Ts, it's going to come across perfectly. Like, as good as I've heard so far, at least. But yeah, I would say the U12T are the best IEM you could buy. They're that good. Nothing I've heard comes even close. Like, I would say this doesn't sound even half as good as this, so I wouldn't consider the Monarch Mark IIs at all. I would recommend the Yumes first, and then Yumes or the ER4SR first if you're getting into the hobby. But if you're already in the hobby and you know what you want, skip these two and get the U12T, because the U12T is just in a league of its own. The bass on the U12T just has no boom, comes across very, very clean, not over exaggerated. Whereas where on the variation it could be a little over exaggerated. And then Monarch Mark II, the bass goes low but not as low. Like, this is like you're in the studio. Like, that's how low it goes with the 64 audios. Yeah, the ER4SR, the bass, it goes low, but again, it's really, really flat. So again, it's kind of your preference. So yeah, under, I would say $200. If you want an all-rounder, go with the ThieAudio Yume. Under even 300 maybe. And then if you want to try a tribrid, skip the Monarch MK2s and get the variations or the U12T. So in terms of resolution, the best one is the U12T. Instrument separation, U12T. Reverb, U12T. It just does everything better. So if someone wants to know what comes closest to this, the U12T, from this table, I would say the variations. 100% the closest to the U12T. And then if you want the best vocal, or you really love vocal music, and you don't care about the treble roll-off, or you don't care about the perfect bass sounds, go for the Mark IIs. But do remember, they're huge. They're not that comfortable. So take that with how you want. And then the ThieAudio Yume, I absolutely love it. And for some reason, I listen to this a lot. So I listen to this more than these three. So this is probably my second favorite earphone because it just sounds tonally correct. Like, nothing wrong. Like, it just sounds lifelike. So in terms of the price, when you look at the MK2s and this, the Yume outperforms it. It just sounds more tonally accurate in terms of the tuning. Yeah, so that should cover it up. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Am I missing anything? Fit. I would say the fit on the U12T is the best again. It's class leading. I can wear these for hours. No pain. Second best, I would go with the Yumes. Really, really good. And then a close third would probably be the variations. They fit really, really good, but they're slightly heavier and larger design. So not as comfortable as the Yumes, but still really, really good. So I put the Shure tips on here. That helps with the comfort, and it doesn't affect the frequency much, I noticed. So that's what I use, and it's really, really comfortable. So yeah, that's that. And then here are the cases. This is way too big for the Monarch Mark IIs. And then this is not useful either for the variation. This is decent case. I like it. And this is a 64 audio U12T case. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the shootout and it helps you make a decision. So yeah, take care.